Use audits to find common errors. Audits are used to spot problems and good actions. Audits use observation, questions, and document review to gauge the consistency between desired and actual performance. Audits aren't always done by external groups. Audits don't always involve others coming into your work area to inspect you. You are often the auditor yourself. Audits should be conducted regularly. Create your audit plan and form, conduct and score the audit, trend audit scores, record and prioritize findings. Like most people, I used to see audits as something bad someone else was going to do to me. Our prevailing attitude about audits is grounded in the horror stories we hear about Internal Revenue Service audits. These negative beliefs have been further reinforced over time by audits we've seen on our customers, state and federal agencies, corporate people, and other groups come in and perform on us. On this page, I'm going to propose that you adopt an always audit-ready mindset. We typically don't like audits because audit findings mean more work for us. Audits mean that someone is going to come into my world, find problems, and then make me fix them. Sometimes these findings will be meaningful and relevant, but at other times, they won't be. It probably took me 20 years or more to realize that a properly conducted audit can be a good thing. It took me 5 more years to realize that audits are actually best practices that high-performing organizations use on a regular basis to supplement the balanced measures that are coming from their measurement systems. Now, believe it or not, I teach people that 1, you should be auditing yourself regularly, and 2, a process owner is auditing their processes every day, whether they realize they're doing so or not. Audits supplement your daily process data collection efforts. Audits help you gauge the degree to which people are doing their work in a manner with the way it should be done. We want it to be consistent with policies, procedures, and training. We also want it to be consistent with the way people have documented that they've been doing their work. Audits allow you to ask people questions as to why they do their jobs a certain way. Audits help you identify process execution consistency and inconsistency. My goal relative to audits is to help you become always audit ready. As you continue to improve process performance in all areas of importance, this should be a goal of yours. To eliminate problems and encourage behavior consistency so that you actually want to be audited. You want to show your success off to others. Are you audit ready? Pareto charts help spot big problems. Pareto charts are one of the 7 basic quality tools, and yet many people don't know what a Pareto chart is if you ask them. If you don't believe me, give it a try. Ask your leadership team members if they know what a Pareto chart is or not. Most of the process owners I've asked this question to do not know what a Pareto chart is by name, but when they see one, they do recognize the declining bar pattern. They've seen them before, but just not very often. In today's management performance review world, pie charts have taken the place of Pareto charts to a large extent. While both chart types reflect the same form of data analysis, they both give you a percentage breakdown of something. I still favor and recommend Pareto charts over pie charts, simply because a difference in bar height is much easier to see than a difference in wedge width. Once you've collected a fair amount of data, around 30 records or so, in your error tracker database, Pareto charts can be used to help you find high leverage improvement areas. Keep in mind that these charts can be of a cost or frequency nature. The prevailing norm is to create frequency-based Pareto charts, but any frequency Pareto can also be displayed in cost form. A frequency Pareto chart looks at the percent of total events, while a cost Pareto chart looks at the percentage of total costs. Pareto charts are not trend lines. They only give you a snapshot of process performance at a given point in time. Their use is important, however, when it comes to determining which problem areas should have resources allocated towards their resolution. By comparing charts over time, you should be able to see the big bars go away or at least get smaller as your fixes take effect. We would love to be able to fix all of our problems at once, but that simply is not possible. We have resource limitations. Using Pareto charts on a regular basis helps you prioritize your process problems, and this in turn helps you make sure that the wheel that needs the grease actually gets it, instead of always greasing the one that squeaks the loudest. Spaghetti diagrams show travel waste. In this example spaghetti diagram, 8 process steps are shown. The lines connecting the process steps are the pieces of spaghetti that make up the spaghetti diagram. Notice how quickly you can spot problem areas simply by constructing this diagram. For example, notice the length of trip between process steps 3 and 4. Look at how many times the lines cross each other as the parts move through the different processing phases. After spending just a few minutes looking at this diagram, can you think of some changes you would make if you were responsible for the performance of this facility? What would the spaghetti diagram for the facility or work area that you are responsible for look like? Do you have situations where you move from one corner of your site to the other as you move between process steps? Are there cases where congestion is caused by multiple paths crossing one another? Can you think of changes that can be made to reduce the overall travel distance, time, and cost associated with processing a customer's order? If you made those changes, how much time and money could you save a year? It's likely that some possible challenges and improvements popped into your mind simply by asking those questions. You might want to write those thoughts down, because creating a spaghetti diagram for your site will be a key action you should consider after finishing this workbook. RFID asset management allows us to further optimize travel paths, storage areas, and work locations. These inexpensive radio frequency identification tags cost around $5 to $15 per tag, and they can be tracked on a real-time basis. This happens whenever checkpoints are passed or when assets get too close or too far away from each other. It also happens if a geo-boundary is crossed. We will still need to come up with creative fixes ourselves, but this technology alone will help us better understand our daily patterns and behaviors. Do you know where your key problems are? Creating a dot map of your audit and analysis findings helps make existing waste areas and hazards visible to all. One of the main reasons that suggestion systems can send me off on a rant is quite simple. A supervisor, what I've called a process owner in this workbook, should know where their problems are. They should know what their options for fixing those problems are. They should be in touch with their people enough to have collected a comprehensive list of possible improvement ideas from them, up and down the process. That said, I also know that this is not the case in most organizations. Believe it or not, many process owners do not even know where all of the safety hazards are along their areas of responsibility. What about other hazards such as downtime, waste, rework, or other process nonconformities? A dot map, similar to the one shown on the graphic, is a simple tool that can be used to make all currently identified workplace hazards visible. Colored dots can be used on this map to identify different types of hazards. You can even write in the dots if they're large enough to indicate the degree of risk associated with the identified hazards or the date it was identified. Best yet, once you've posted such a map in the work area or break room, you can ask your people if they know of hazards that have not been identified on the map yet. Odds are, they'll probably point some out. An error tracking database that we looked at earlier helps you prioritize your problems, but I think it's always good to know where a high percentage of your potential landmines are. I also find a lot of value in giving my people a way to help me make sure that I know where their key concerns lie. I want to know where high potential process problems exist that I might not be aware of. A dot map is a simple way to help me do this. We use spray charts and shot charts all of the time in sports to help understand a batter's hot and cold zones or where a basketball player tends to make a higher percentage of his or her shots. We also use dot maps in baseball to know where to place our infielders and outfielders. All of these different approaches are dot maps. They show process performance tendencies by identifying frequency of occurrence. If they work for your favorite sports team, is it possible that they might work for you as well from a process improvement perspective? Do you know where your hazards are?